So what I'm really saying is, taking those points and pushing it further, so no matter what a marketeer is trying to do in terms of deliver a promise, you've got to recognize that people are a bit like birds. They're going to flutter about. They're going to pick different bits up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's one organization that tries to get its message over. And if you haven't yet got the point, it's something about strength. Look at it. Heavily. Class A. Longer life. Tornado. Still with me? Right. We continue. Titan. High tensile. Oh, and by the way, this brand is all about barbed wire. I mean, fantastic, really, isn't it, in terms of communication? Not yet, sort of misunderstood what it's about. But the thing really is, people dip in, they dip out. So when we start to enact a brand promise, again, using a model that was introduced to me through Wolf Olins, I've seen other organizations doing something similar. What organizations then do is they then say, look, that 360 degree is so important. We genuinely want to make sure that no matter what the touch point is, the brand will deliver the same promise. So organizations start to think about a promise, and they then start to say, so how can I enact? How can I then start to enact the promise? I mean, if you're talking about luxury in the case of a high-performance car, maybe the ultimate is to put a tray, 6 champagne glasses with champagne in them on the bonnet, the hood of the car, and then somebody sits inside the car and puts the engine into very high rev, and still there's no vibration. I'll leave you to think about the brand, but by golly gosh, if this is the ultimate driving machine, what is the ultimate way in terms of then trying to get people to think a bit more about the ultimate driving machine? Everything it does, it must really signify excellence. But when people dip into the product or the service, they also dip into the environment through which the brand is being displayed, the environment through which the brand is being sold. I know a few organizations whereby you are greeted as you walk into the store with a big sign that's saying photography is forbidden. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about Harrods. Photography is forbidden. The environment. This is the store that maybe the next story applies to. Somebody rang in and said, excuse me, do you sell elephants? So its reply was not yes or no, but the reply was, well, are you looking for an Indian or an African elephant? Here's an organization who gets the retailing environment to really reinforce the promise about this being a retailer that sells all that's to do with being excellence. The environment supports it. Then we start to see a form of behavior of staff, because again we interact with employees. I remember one mobile phone operator, the brand promise was all to do about being, we offer a service. And I rang into the organization because I'd gone and had a problem with my phone, and the organization said to me, oh, can you give us your password? I said, I don't have my password. And this organization's about service. It's about being customer-centric. They then said, okay, let's try a crossword puzzle. If the first clue for the first letter is, what might that letter be? I had about 2 or 3 clues, and I then instantly said, yes, my password is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about empowerment. If a brand is a powerful brand, the promise is understood and it is believed in. So people then, the employees, then start to understand how they can abide by what the brand stands for, but they can enact it in a manner that reinforces all about it. And then there's the importance of then taking that brand promise and then saying, let's start to think about the way that we're communicating, the way that we're trying to communicate the brand to the markets out there. And here I then start to think about organizations like Innocent, the Innocent Drink Company, that markets, amongst many elements there, smoothies. This is the organization in terms of communication. On the back of a pack it says, bored, pick up the banana phone. You're talking about smoothies, you're talking about naturalness. So they don't talk about an unnatural thing called a phone. They talk about the banana phone. You look at the pack and it's all about communicating the idea of being refreshing, challenging the convention that says being healthy is dull and boring. To be blunt, they put colour into it. They make you smile in terms of the language that's being used. So it's the importance of taking that brand promise and then enacting the brand promise in a 360-degree manner. Ladies and gentlemen, Thai International, then their In-Flight magazine, Touches of Thai. This organisation, what it's got these visuals, but by the visuals, what they're doing is they're trying to hit, different sensations. The sensation of hear, in other words, the music in the flight. The sensation of taste, in other words, the type of food in the flight. What they've done is they've gone through the different sensations, and they've tried to take the concept, to my mind, of serenity. And they really have delivered it by thinking about these different types of touch points. Now, in terms of ways of doing it, how can you then test the brand? To say, well, does this brand promise really come across as being a true 360-degree enactment of promise? Well, there's some researchers that have developed a lovely technique, a technique that's very much concerned with walking the talk. Walk the journey that your customers or your buyers follow through. In other words, first and foremost, let's start to think about those triggers, the pre-purchase points. Let's start to think about those pre-purchase points. Ladies and gentlemen, on one occasion I recall looking at different mobile phone operators, thinking about maybe one being particularly good, because on the web it looked appropriate, but the problem was, because of the way they'd located their store, during a weekend, it was very, very close to a market. It was very close to a market where there were bands that were playing. It was just so difficult. And ironically, the organisation's about communication, and yet, ironically, they're going to put this store in a position whereby, with the doors being open, it was just so difficult to hear what's going on. Take my brand promise. My first enactment of the promise comes across in terms of, when I'm looking and considering what's going on, the pre-purchase. Then I have the purchase touch points. I then have the purchase touch points. Again, I start to think about maybe the IT sector, where the brand promise is about simplicity. And then the purchase touch point. So you take the equipment home. You then try to configure the equipment. You try to boot it. You try to synchronize it. And yes, it is simplicity if you have an engineering background. But to many people, though, this concept of simplicity wasn't enacted in a manner that, when using initially the product or service, that the customer would have expected. And then, don't forget, when people buy products and services, they come in almost as a naive user. Naive user because they're trying to learn what's going on. And here we are with the brand, we're trying to offer best value. We're trying to offer best value because we're augmenting. We're putting more into the brand. So again, you put your screen on. You've now rapidly thought this is a terrific device I've got here because it's touchscreen sensitive. Fantastic, we're not playing about with keyboards. But the problem was you've got to go through a hierarchy of questions before you can actually then start to get into the real area you want to play with. Now, in this organisation's case, what they had not done was they'd not looked at initially which are the most popular parts of the program that people are using. They had really said, congratulations, you've bought a wonderful device. It's got all these applications. But as the user starts to do it, you're really then making that post-purchase become that much more difficult. No, I'm going to shy away from this. I'm not going to really start to stretch the brand in the way that really I know it could do.